Hello. Today we're taking a look at a new feature in my plugin Outgrowth. If you're familiar with Outgrowth, you probably know the stem mode, which is basically our most basic way of playing back a sample. In this mode, you've got a start point and an end point, and we basically just play the sample back within those bounds. It's kind of the most pure representation of the sample we have in Outgrowth. But you might notice down here at the bottom, we have a new option. We have once and we have loop. Once is going to become kind of our traditional behavior, where we just play through the sample from start to end once, and then we're done. But now we have this new option, loop, which is going to let us loop between the start and the end point. Let's just hear how that sounds. So you might ask yourself, why did we add this? You know, we already have the reflect engine, which performs some looping. And we also have the retain engine, which is going to perform looping as well, to some extent. But this new loop option in stem lets us explore some parts of the sample and sample playback that you can't do in the other modes. So one thing that's really interesting to me is the relationship between pitch, speed, and rhythm. So if you're not already familiar with how sample playback works, to play a sample at a different pitch, we're going to play it at a different speed. That means that a lower note is going to take much longer than a higher note. Let's just see that reflected on the sample really quickly. You can see that the high note just kind of blows through the sample really quickly, and the lower note takes its time and really works its way through the sample. So I think this is interesting when we get into the realm of looping, because we can explore the relationship between different pitches and the different speeds that they play at. If you're familiar with just intonation, it basically tells us that different intervals of notes have different kind of fixed relationships between each other. So for example, an octave is going to be twice the frequency of a root note, or it's also going to, in this case, take half the time to play a section of sample. So let's just play an octave on the keyboard really quickly. So you can hear that the higher note is playing twice as quickly. So we kind of get this like 1, 2, 1, 2 kind of feel just from holding two notes on the keyboard. This gets really interesting though with different notes besides octaves. So a fifth, for example, is going to give you a pitch relationship of 3 halves. So you're going to get this kind of 3 against 2 feeling if you hold a fifth down in this mode. And each interval kind of has this unique relationship to each other. So it's really interesting to explore this. You can explore, a fifth in a different octave. So that would be 6 against 2 in this case. So that's 3 for every 1. But you can also kind of explore these more interesting intervals. Like here's a major third. So that's 4 against 3. We could do a major third an octave up. So that's like 8 against 3. you can kind of play around with all of these different relationships. And we've actually kind of tuned this mode such that when you have two notes or more, if you have two or more notes that are looping, we actually adjust the loop boundaries for each of them to ensure that you actually get that just intoned loop length and speed relationship. So, for example, if I play a fifth, we're actually playing the notes back in equal temperament, but the loop lengths are going to be in the just intonation relationship. So the actual loop lengths are going to be exactly 3 against 2. So you can really explore these rhythms. So if you haven't already, I would definitely play around with all the different relationships you can explore here. Especially with a plucky sample like this. Now, we also have this crossfade control, which kind of affects how, smeary the boundaries of the loop are going to be. You should note one thing in this mode, which is that the crossfade doesn't occur if your loop is at the start point of the sample or the end point of the sample. And this was an intentional decision because we wanted to preserve the initial transient of a sample, or if you were to load a sample that you wanted to be exactly a certain length, we didn't want to mess with that. So in those cases, you are just going to, we're going to kind of fade out at the end and then play the start here. But if we push deeper into the sample, we can use the crossfade to kind of just control how sharp or how kind of smeary these boundaries are. And this is nice because we can just use it as kind of like an alternative looping mode that's going to kind of sustain the sample, but it's in a different flavor compared to retain and reflect. So it's just another option and another tool to have in your tool belt. All of these controls are kind of tuned up to work with modulation as well. This also works in reverse, just like the original mode. So it's just a fun new addition that we thought was nice, just to kind of throw in there. This has been a common feature request, just having some simple way to loop and kind of explore this relationship with rhythm and pitch. And so this is the way to do it. So I hope you grab Outgrowth version 1.0.4, and I hope you have fun with this new mode. Take care.